I don't care that Monday's blue, Tuesday's gray, and Wednesday too. Thursday, I don't care about you. It's Friday, I'm in love. Happy Friday, everybody. Well, it's Friday for me. Might not be Friday when this video comes out. But whatever, man. I'm feeling good right now. Um, I'm on video number 3. Jesus. Uh, Drawing a big hunky Aaron, which is always a great way to start a new page. I'm gonna try to focus on a little bit of the composition here. Again, I'm new to this comic thing, but I'm working really hard to make it so like the characters are really interacting with each other with their body language, like as well as the dialogue. So like in this panel here, Jesse is migrated to kind of perching on the edge of the desk there. Aaron's looking a little bit, I don't know, man. I don't know about what you're telling me here. With his arms crossed, his legs crossed, kind of defensive body language, kind of showing off his big old pecs and whatnot. It's pretty good. I think I'm slowly figuring out how I like to do establishing shots. Usually at the very beginning of the page or whatever, I like to have something that sets the mood for the rest of the page. So like this first panel here is a big shot that has like everything in this scene. And it's kind of from an above angle, I guess, just because it's felt more interesting to me. I probably should have used some reference for it. The perspective is a little bit wonky, but whatever, man. It's fine. Look at that butt there. That's a pretty good butt. I asked people on my Patreon if they had a couple of questions that they wanted answered. Not a lot of responses, but I did get a couple. The first thing somebody asked me is, how long does creating like a comic page like this take? And I was like, well, I speed up these videos, this and the other video by 30 times. The first video was 15 times, but that means that you can do some quick math. These videos are about 12 or 14 minutes, so 12 times 30 is 360, is about 6 hours, I guess, if my math is correct. So it takes me about 6 hours from thumbnail to colored page, which is one of the reasons why I've been able to kind of settle into a regular cadence with these pages. I don't know. Let me know how you feel, but I feel like I'm going along at a pretty good clip, getting this story out there. And another question is, why did I start drawing furries in my comic instead of humans? What gave me this kink? Oh my God. Well, so I've told this story on, I think, the Panda Paws podcast before, but to reiterate, so I started drawing when I was young, like in 1998, 1999. I played the game Star Fox, and from then I was really into the furry thing. I went and I saw that there were whole communities of people. I saw message boards and stuff like that. I was active there for a little while, but I didn't really take off until I got to college, and then I needed money, and I started drawing like furry porn and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know if you would call it a kink. Like, furries for me are a nice like side hustle type thing. It's been so much a part of my life that I guess it's embedded pretty firmly in my identity, but it's not really. I wouldn't consider myself a furry. It's like somebody who self-identifies as a gamer. You know what? The furry thing isn't a part of my identity. It's just something that I do, is how I feel. I'm not a gamer. I play games. I'm not a furry. I draw furry stuff, if that makes sense. So I don't know. Maybe that's bullshit, but that's how I feel. One of the things that I like, and especially now that I'm trying to do, like I'm starting with this porno comic, I have other comics in mind. But like I really like using furries, or these animal people. And there's a couple of reasons why. One is telling stories with animal people versus real people lets you get away with a lot of stuff. Real people are complicated and messy. Like you can very easily have the story you're trying to tell be bogged down by the fact that there are people involved. That might sound a little counterintuitive, but a lot of times, especially these days, it seems like people get really focused on identity and what group people are a part of. And I find some of that can be mitigated in the storytelling sense. Like if you just go straight to animal people, it lets you really tell a story that makes sense in a human context, but with characters that aren't strictly human, so separated from a little of the identity anxiety that some, and you could say that maybe I'm just not a great writer if I find that sort of thing to be a problem. And I'm not going to claim to be a great writer or a great storyteller or anything like that. I'm not experienced enough. But that is one obvious advantage to me that using animal people in comics has. I do have another comic in the grindhouse, in my memory warehouse. It's called The Golden Age, and there's a couple of pilot pages on my Patreon if you're interested. It's got furries and humans. Sick. I'm kind of excited about that one, but that's sometime down the line, I think. So, and speaking of like passions and things like that, for me, again, like the furry thing, it took me a long time to figure this out, and I just recently kind of came to the realization that this is the way that things should be. Like, for a long time, I struggled with what I wanted to do in terms of art, right? All right, not just in terms of art, really, in terms of I guess life. Jesus, that got heavy. And there is a lot of things that I'm very interested in. I'm very interested in art and like furry stuff within art, storytelling, music. I love programming, software architecture and engineering, right? All that stuff. And it's taken me a while to realize that like just because I really love something doesn't mean that it's good for me. And that there's a difference between you love doing something and it gives you like this insane amount of energy. It like charges your batteries, and you love something, but doing it leaves you exhausted or fatigued. I spent a lot of my life chasing love, so to speak, or interest in things. When doing those things left me fatigued and worn down. The art thing, as silly as it is, right? This silly porno comic, love story, fuck story, powers me up, right? I can do this nonstop. It doesn't fatigue me. So I in a small way, I'm kind of glad that I'm figuring out what really powers me up, because I want to keep doing it. I want to keep doing this, man. I would love to try to make this a job. So that's what I'm going to try to do. A couple of comments I got have been really illuminating to me, because it's so interesting to see how other people like take these ideas that I have and make it their own. I had a lot of people when this comic first started who were disappointed that the protagonist was like this skinny Twinkie kind of guy, when like a lot of my art and what I'm known for is like these big beef kicks. And obviously Aaron is the big beefcake of this particular story, but a lot of people were asking me at first, why is it not just hunks, hunks, hunks? Oops, all hunks. And I want to address that because I think this is important. If you just make a meal that's all composed of your favorite things, you're gonna have a bad time. It's gonna be shitty. If you're cooking with a recipe and all the ingredients are the same, you don't really have a recipe. You have a big pile of garbage. Contrasts. The reason why Aaron looks so goddamn hunky and delicious is because he's contrasted with Jesse. Jesse is the foil to Aaron. And I see this drives me nuts about some people who they get so focused on the thing that they really, really like that they forget to contrast it with other things so that it stands out. I've seen some like furry comics and porno comics that have what that artist is into because they are focusing on it to the exclusion of all the other interesting ingredients. And I'm trying not to make that mistake here. I like Jesse as a character, even though he's not really my type. But the point of Jesse and Aaron is the contrast, because skinny little Jesse makes Aaron look that much more gigantic. And there's going to be some more contrasts and stuff like that later down the line. But I just wanted to address that because I think it's so interesting, this dynamic. Anyway, later.